the concept is the physical science pedagogy. In this pedagogy, you know that the pedagogy comes in the part 1 of paper and part 2 is content. In the pedagogy of physical science teaching, the very important concept is academic standards. As we discussed in the continuous comprehensive evaluation, the summative papers are prepared on 2 weightages. The first one is academic standards and the second one is the nature of questions. You know that academic standards are created and we are collected from the National Curriculum of Teacher Education NCTE. So, you can see those things on the website. Okay. Previously, we are following Bloom's taxonomy. As per Bloom's taxonomy, we have 4 skills, of course, is knowledge, understanding, application and skills. In that examination, generally the questions are based on memory based, rote learning method. So, the same question repeat in so many examinations. For example, the question will come in the unit test examination, the question will come in the slip test examination, the same question will come in the quarterly examination, it will be repeated in half yearly examination, the same question will come in the public examination also. Means the children are habituated to write mechanically, there is no scope for logical reasoning and thinking process. Okay, there is no possibility for creativity also. For that reason, the system was changed. From 2014 onwards, the textbooks are changed and the evaluation system also changed. So, we will discuss what is the philosophy of the textbooks and how academic standards are incorporated in the examination system. First, in physical science, we have 7 academic standards. Very clear, the academic standards are taken from the National Curriculum of Teacher Education. This is a very important. You have to write in your, if the question asked, you have to write in that. Okay. And this academic standards are same for both physical science and the biological science also. We will discuss each and every one how we are going to evaluate each children by using these academic standard. The first one, as we see, observe that the first one is conceptual understanding. Okay. So, what is conceptual understanding? If the children is able to distinguish between the 2 concepts, if he say and he is able to elicit examples, he is able to understand the concepts, he is able to explain the concepts, all will comes under the conceptual understanding. Clear? Okay. And coming to the next one, questioning and hypothesis. So, questioning, the children is able to question it, the children is able to hypothecate, all this comes under the questioning and hypothesis. Coming to the next one is experiments, field observation and projects. So, here experiments, so generally the science is based on experiments. Okay. So, there is a less abstractism. So, everything will be innovated or discovered through experiments. Okay. For that reason, so experiments is a part of one of the academic standards. So, observation is very important thing. So, the students will observe the field, so in ground level or in the environment, what are the things happen, why it's happen. I will give a small example to you. So, water drops are in spherical shape. What is the reason behind it? Can you say that? So, the reason is, so when you consider the volume a fixed volume for different kinds of shapes, maybe triangle, maybe circle, maybe spherical, maybe cylindrical, maybe cone, among all these 3D figures. So, for a certain volume, the least object which covers the given volume is sphere. For that reason, water rain drops are in the shape of spherical. Is it clear? So, like means this comes under field observation and we are giving projects. This is a very important, and we make the process as one of the tool in the formative assessments also. Through the projects, through the activities, we will learn the concepts, we will get the conceptual clarity. So, we have to test whether the children is able to, through the projects, the children can get coordination, cooperation and cognitive domain. So, these are the very important things. That is reason another academic standard is experiments, field observations and the projects. Now, coming to the fourth one, information skills. This is the most important. Okay, science is nothing but information. He has to gather the information, he has to interpret the information, he has to analyze the information, he have to tabulated that information. That is a very, very important, and he has to communicate the same information by using scientific terms. So, that is a very important. So, information skills is the another academic standards. Now, coming to the next one is appreciation, values, consciousness towards biodiversity. So, appreciation is very, very important. Himself, he has to appreciate for the learning physical science, because physical science is a part of our daily life. The children are playing cricket, there is some cricket, there is some physics. Okay. So, for example, the bowler bowls the ball. When it bowls the ball, then batsman hits the ball, correct? He hits the ball. When he hits the ball, so what will happen? The batsman want to hit the ball. Okay. So, he hit it. What is the path of the ball? Can you assume it? It is a parabolic path. How you can say it is a parabolic path? The fielder want to hold the ball. What is your observation? You want to hold the ball, just he pulls his hands towards his body and put it down, correct? Here two things happen, just he pulls his hand towards his body and pulls it down. Here two factors, one is the ball is travelling in parabolic path, another one is impulse. When the ball comes immediately at rest, it gives more stress and strain. So, definitely the fielder may drop the ball, but when he gives a time lapse or increasing time for the ball get into rest, the applied force on his hands will be reduced. You know that impulse is force into time. So, force into time means if one quantity decreases, other quantity increases. When the time increases, applied force will be decreases. When applied forces decreases, then the children, of course, the fielder can hold the ball easily. So, maybe everyone is playing cricket, but they does not know. So, there is a lot of physical science concepts are involved in it, very important. Okay. When you travel on a bus, it does not have any seat, okay, then just you stand and hold the rod in the bus. So, suddenly there is a hurdle, driver applied the brakes, what will happen? You fall towards the driver, am I correct or not? What is the reason? Can you say that? It is called moment of inertia. Okay, moment of inertia, maybe the word is difficult, am I correct? But so when a bus is in motion, even though you feel that you are at rest, but your body is in motion along with the bus. When the driver applied the brakes, what will happen? Your foot will comes rest, but still again the body is in motion. For that reason, you will fall towards the bus driver. For example, you are at a train, okay, you are at a rest position. Suddenly the train started, what will happen? You will pull back, am I correct or not? There is his total body is at rest, and when train is moving, what will happen? So, these legs will comes in motion, so the body moves back. So, all these are by observation we can understand the things. And now coming to the next one is, so you have to appreciate that and values. So, this is the most important. The education should have the quality, correct? A quality education should provide what you call it empathy, and the same time you should learn ethical values, social values, very important, correct? And you should give equity, that is a very, very important. Every children should learn the concepts. So, teacher should not consider only few children who seated on the first benches. He has to consider the children who are sat in the last bench also. So, all children equal in terms of the teacher. He has to consider each and every one. Every children should participate in the classroom transaction. Okay, no one is born with a different intelligence. Every children born with the same intelligence. Only the classroom environment will change it. If you want to become a good teacher, a good guru, today is Guru Purnima, so you want to become a good teacher, the teacher should be effective, influence teacher. He has to influence that. Okay. So, if the children are able to say which is your profession, so in future means if he able to say I will be a teacher, what is the reason? Because of my teacher, then you are a very good teacher. I will give one of the example, that is Abdul Kalam. He is the person who died at the last moment, also he is teaching. In one of the university, when he is going to deliberate one lecture, at the same time he was collapsed. Of course, he is a great teacher, correct. So, means we will develop the values in the classroom transaction. Concept, okay, concept is very important. At the same times, values also very important. The next one is a consciousness. So, see, this consciousness is a very, very important. We have to respect our elders. We have to respect the society. We have to follow the rules and regulations, norms of the society. Okay. So, we should not use the plastics which spoils our environment. First, we have to follow that. That is a very important. That consciousness is very important. When you drive on a road, so do not feel it like a, so you are only one person who are driving on the road. You should have a consciousness about safety measures and hygienic. So, now we are spending crores of money on Swachh Bharat. So, every children or every person in not only in India, throughout the world, have the consciousness about the hygienic process and cleanliness. Okay. So, every children should learn all these things in the classroom, our education also in the same manner. And towards the biodiversity, just now said, everyone now is from just pouring these perfumes. Or you know what is there in the perfumes? There is a carbon tetrachloride, CCl4, which spoils the ozone layer. Refrigeration also spoils the ozone layer. Finally, we are facing so many problems, which gives a natural disorderliness. So, always our learning towards the biodiversity, that is a very important. Now, coming to the next one is daily life applications. Without daily life application, there is no science. Am I correct or not? So, anything, take anything. When ant bites, you will get itching sensation. What is the reason? Silicic acid. Okay. So, why the milk is in white color? Lactic acid. Correct or not? Like, take any one. So, for example, if you consider your mother is boiling some water on a stove, just lid is covered that pan. So, what will happen? After some time, the lid will move up, correct? So, what is the reason behind it? When you open it, you can observe that there is a water vapor. Water vapor has the energy, clear? If you know the electricity, for example, if you know the electricity concepts, you can, how electricity is consumed, you can calculate how much quantity of electricity you consumed, also you can calculate it. So, when you take a series of bulbs, if one bulb is spoiled, then the series of the bulbs will not glow. The reason is they are connected in series. When you consider domestic appliances in the house, all are connected in parallel. So, each one has one switch. So, otherwise they are connected in series. If you switch off one equipment, then the rest of the also are not working. So, like everywhere. So, there is a science in the washing machine, there is a science in the cooker, there is a science in the even electrical stove, anywhere. So, anywhere you go, so there is a science, and especially physical science. So, that is very important, how it is daily life applied in our regular practices. The next one is diagrammatic skills. So, diagrammatic skills means here you know that science will be represented in the diagrammatic form. For example, you want to know the nuclear reactor, how the nuclear reactor works, how the dynamo works, how you measure a small lens by using screw gauge or speedometer or the vernier calipers. Okay, how the simple pendulum works. So, anything especially in physical science. So, diagrammatic representation is very, very important. So, children, so this is a nearly 7 academic standards you have it. So, one is you know that conceptual understanding, second one is questioning and hypothesis, third one is experiments, field observations and projects, fourth one is information skills, fifth one is appreciation, values, consciousness towards biodiversity, sixth one is daily life applications, and seventh one is diagrammate skills. It is a very clear. So, the textbooks questions also prepared as per academic standards. When you see what you learned, improve your learning, that is a statement as given in the textbooks, improve your learning. In that exercises are given, each and every question will be classified as with respect to academic standard. We give it as AS1, AS2, AS3. AS means your academic standard. This is the most important, and you have to understand these academic standard. As a teacher, when you have a perfection in the academic standards, so definitely you are able to prepare a good question paper and you can assess the children in a good manner. Finally, the evaluation should be 100% correct, otherwise it is a very difficult. And you know that academic standards are one of the weightages, other one is the nature of questions of the paper. So, we have four kinds of questions in the examination paper. One is called short answer, second one is very short answer, third one is you know that long answer type or essay type question answer, and the fourth one is multiple choice questions. Okay. So, even though we call it as objective type questions, there are purely multiple choice questions. There is no fill in the blanks, there is no match the following, there is no true or false like questions. So, it is very clear, and the marks also. So, very short answers questions are 1 mark and short answer questions having 2 marks each, and long answer type or essay type questions are 4 marks each, and multiple choice questions are half marks questions. It is very clear. And the question paper, question number 1 to question number 7, 1 mark questions, very short answer questions. Question number 8 to question number 13 is 2 marks questions called as short answer questions. Question number 14 to question number 17, very long answer type questions or essay type questions answer. So, this comes under the part A, and part B we have the multiple choice questions, question number 1 to question number 10. The very important note here, the first 1 mark question, 2 marks questions means question number 1 to question number 13, there is no choice. The children has to write all the questions, but from question number 14 to question number 17, which are considered as a long answer type questions, then so that is as a 4 marks questions, there is an internal choice. Okay, 14A or 14B, 14A or 14B. So, very important note is 14A, when you consider 14A so and 14B, both should be in the same academic standard. The chapter may be different. Is it clear? This is a very important. When you want to prepare the question paper with respect to academic standards, so in the 14th question or 15th question or 16th question or 17th question, any one of these questions, so that internal choice should have considered the same academic standard. The chapters may be different. Is it clear? And one more important is, on a question there should not be any sub questions. In 14 question 1, 2, 3, 4 not like. So, one diagram is given, the resistances, some resistances are given. See, if the resistance are connected in series, what is the effective resistance? If the resistance are connected in parallel, what is the resistance? With respect to diagram, what is the effective resistance? You can ask in this manner because all are interrelated, but one question from the resistance and one question from the optics and one question from the organic chemistry, it is not correct. And one more important thing is, so first question of course 14A from the physical science and 14B from the chemistry is not correct, from physics and chemistry is not correct. Actually it is not mandatory, but generally both the questions of internal choice should be and the same. Is it clear? This is very important. So, the questions should be strictly follow the academic standards. This is very important, and if you understand academic standard, it is easy to transact a classroom transaction. At the same time, you can prepare the question paper in the easiest way. Is it clear? Now, we will discuss each academic standard stepwise. So, we are discussing about the academic standards. The first academic standard, you know that is a conceptual understanding. Nearly 40% of weightage is given to conceptual understanding. Very important. Then what are the indicators for this conceptual understanding? This is a very important. So, that is the reason I am giving all these indicators in order. So, just see, the first one is able to explain the concept. That is very important. For example, if enormous expansion of water is given, he has to explain. If you want to say about ionization energy, what is ionization energy? How ionization energy varies in a periodic table for groups from top to bottom, for periods from left to right. It has to explain. What are the influence factors for ionization energy? It has to write everything. So, means the student is able to explain the concept. For example, if you want to say velocity. So, what is velocity? What is speed? What is the difference between velocity and speed? Okay. At the same time, what are different kinds of velocity? So, there is a velocity, uniform velocity, instant velocity, correct? Irregular velocities. So, he has to explain all the kinds which is concerned to the velocity, even though he has to explain the velocity time graph also. So, that is called concept explanation. So, the student is able to explain the concept. It comes under the conceptual understanding. Now, come to the next one is elicit examples. So, elicit examples means that the student is able to give examples for it. Okay. For example, I said relativity. So, they want to, the children or student is able to say what is relativity. Okay. So, then you could, when a tap make into motion, after some time it seems to be at rest, because our eyes is unable to add, but actually it is in motion. Am I correct or not? So, when you are walking on a road, when you observe the moon, you feel that the moon is coming with you. It is a relativity, correct? So, that is call it as. Otherwise, when you are moving, just now I said one example, when you are traveling in a car. So, when you observe the things surroundings through the window, so you can observe that the trees, the shops, everything which are at rest seems to be there in motion, but you feel that you are in rest. It is called relativity. Clear? So, that is otherwise they will give the inertia. So, if I give the inertia, what is inertia? You have to give that. So, for example, a long jump, if you want to do a long jump, what will you do? So, we will start from a certain distance and you will run fast. From the line you will jump it. Why? You can jump from directly from the line. No? What is the reason? So, when you make exercise for your body which is in motion, means you are making your body in motion. So, it continues for a while. So, in the jump you can jump for long distance. Otherwise, immediately want to jump, the distance will be short than this practice. So, that is called inertia. Okay. So, if you want to make your blanket is clean, what will you do? Just you will push it up and down. What is the reason? The dust particles in the blanket, again they want to at rest, because already they are at rest. So, they will fall in and it gives a cleanliness about our blanket. It is called inertia. So, like the children is able to give the example, elicitate examples comes under the conceptual understanding. Is it clear? Okay, now come to the next one, give reasons. This is the most important. Okay. So, I will explain a small concept, just observe it. Give reasons means here is able to say what is the reason behind it. I will ask a very important thing here. So, in the optics chapter you are learning that a convex lens is said to be convergent lens and concave lens is said to be divergent lens. What is the reason? The same question, the same answer is not given in the textbook, just we gave that statement. As a teacher you have to explain. Also the children is able to write answer. So, just observe these things. I am taking a convex lens. Okay. So, this was just a convex lens. Actually, you know that convex lens is a combination of prisms. Just observe it. These are prisms. The middle one is nothing but as a glass slab. The glass slab has no properties. When the light ray incident on it, simply it passes through it. There is no kind of refraction, reflection, anything. But with respect to this, when you observe it, above this line, the prisms, the base of the prisms are in downwards. Am I correct? The base of the prisms are in downwards. This is the base for the first one. This is the base for second one. Correct? And this is the base for third one. It is in downwards. You know that when a light ray incident on it on a prism, it refracts towards the base. So, I am using the same property. When the light ray incident in this, it refracts towards the base. Base is downward, so it bends like. Again I am taking one more, it bends like. Again this one, it bends like. Means all are intersect of course at one point. Now coming to the next one. So downwards are prisms. Here the bases of the downwards are upward direction. So when the light ray incident on it, it refracted towards the base means up, and this in upward direction. The last one this upward direction. Means all are coincident point. This process is called convergence. Okay, hence a convex lens is said to be a convergent lens. When you come into the concave lens, so again it is combination of some prisms, correct? And this is a glass slab. When the light ray incident on it, it passes through it. There is no reflection or refraction. When you observe these prisms, here the bases of the prisms are upward directions and the basis of the prisms of downwards with respect to this line are in downward direction. When the light ray incident on it, it bends towards the base. So it moves like. Here it moves like, and here it moves like, and here it moves like. When you extend all these lines, all the lines will intersect at one point, means here image will form. It is divergent. There it is a convergent. So hence we call it as the convex lens is convergent lens and concave lens is divergent lens. Like the children is able to explain the concept. In the textbook the concept is not given. As a teacher you have to explain this concept. That is a very important. Or the children is able to give the reasons for it. For each and every concept the children is able to give the reasons, then there is a conceptual clarity forms. So we have to test for it. Now coming to the next one, give comparison and differences. This is a very, very important. So for example, if I ask you to, what is the difference between mass and weight? Mass and weight. Okay. So we are here, what is mass and what is the quantity of the substance in a substance is called mass. What is weight? The gravitational force on a body is called weight. Here we are using to measure this kilograms. There we are using kilogram weight, which is 9.8 newtons. Correct or not? Like if you want to compare with the electron affinity and ionization potential, what is the difference between these two? When you want to remove one electron from the outer shell of a molecule, then it is said to be is ionization energy. Some energy will be released. Okay, if you want to give one electron to that for a given atom, so to receive that some energy is required. That is called electron affinity. So like we have to give the reasons. Okay, what is uniform velocity or what is uniform acceleration? Compare and contrast. That comes under the conceptual understanding. Now come to the next one, explain process of given concepts in the textbook. You have to say the procedure. For example, if the pinpoint camera was given, how it works? Our dynamo was given, how it works? The nuclear reactor was given, how it works? He has to explain the procedure, correct? So that comes the process which are given in the concepts, he is able to explain it, which comes under the conceptual understanding. Now, coming to the next one, is able to develop brain mapping. This is the most important. So, he has to collect the total information. For example, optics is given. In the optics chapter, lens. What are the kinds of lens? Convex lens, concave lens. Again, convex lens has biconvex, plano-convex, concavo-convex. When you come into the concave, biconcave, plano-concave, convexo-concave, again the remaining part. So, the children is able to map various concepts, it comes under the brain mapping. So, these are the some tools about conceptual understanding. So, he has to be able to explain the concept, elicit examples, give reasons, give comparison and differences, explain the process of given concepts in the textbook, able to develop brain mapping. These are the indicators for the first academic standard, conceptual understanding. So, we learn about what is the conceptual understanding and what are the indicators of the conceptual understanding. So, very important, nearly 40% of the weightage will be given for the conceptual understanding. Now, we will see the next one. For the next one, generally we are saying the asking questions and making hypothesis. Asking questions and making hypothesis. This is a very, very important. So, when you will ask the questions, when you are paying interest in the learning process, the first one. When you understand some extent, then there is doubts will arise. You will ask the questions. When you know the concept or when you understand the concept perfectly, then if you want to make an enhancement, enrichment, then you will pose the questions. So, asking questions is a very important task for a conceptual transaction, and making hypothesis, generalization. And making hypothesis is different. So, when you take a substance in the aqueous solution, if it releases H plus ions, then we call it as it is an acid. When it releases OH minus ions, it is a base. So, like you have to generalize the things. Okay, generally the first group elements in the periodic table, okay, hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, strontium. So, all these elements is ready to give electrons. That is the reason generally they will show as +1 as valency. So, it is a generalization, correct. So, and that is a very important, he has to make a hypothesis, making hypothesis. When the light ray incident on a prism, the light ray refracted, okay, and sometimes it is scattered. Due to scattering of light, generally we will get a rainbow. Am I correct? And when you consider coming to the fiber optics, the fiber optics is based on the total internal reflections. There is a technology behind the fiber optics. So, you know that fiber optics is the essential part for any communication system, whether it is telephones or television channels or for internet. Anyway, we are using a fiber optics technology. Okay. So, that is a very, very important. So, what are the indicators for asking questions and making hypothesis? Able to ask the questions to understand. So, after understanding the concept, they are able to ask the questions and ask the questions in understandable manner. Ask the questions in understandable manner. Clear? That is a very, very important. Okay. And the second one, able to guess the results. What result comes when acid and base. So, you want to identify which is an acid, which is a base. So, what is required first? Indicator required. What is the required? This means here maybe what is that? It is a litmus paper. When you take a litmus paper, if the litmus paper turn from blue to red, it is an acid. Red to blue, it is a base. Does not affect, it is a neutral solution. Okay, I will give a simple example to you. Take 3 test tubes, and the 3 test tubes 3 aqueous solutions given which has no color, but among those 3, 2, one is acid, another one is base, third one is a water. So, one indicator, a blue litmus paper is given to you. you have to identify which is the acid, which is the base, and which is water. Then how you are going to identify that? So, take first test tube, dip that blue litmus paper in it. If it turns to blue to red, then it is a acid. If it does not turn into blue to red, then there is a possibility whether it is a water or the base. Clear? Okay. Now, coming to the second one, dip it, again the same process. If it turned into the blue to red, then it is a acid, otherwise it. Am I correct or not? I am coming to the first one. So, you feel that it is not a acid. Okay. Now, take some quantity of this first test tube and add it into the second one. If the salt will forms, the second one is base. If the salt does not forms, it is a water, and the third one is a base. See how you are going to identify it, that is a very important. This means able to guess the result. And next one, predict the results of experiments. When you perform experiments, so when you perform experiments, you have to guess the result. So, that is a very, very important. Means so you are involved in the procedure, okay, and you know the process, and finally you can guess the result, means hypothetically you are correct. So, that is a very, very important. So, able to ask the question to understand, able to guess the result, predict the results of experiments, all comes under the asking questions and making hypothesis. And now coming to the third one, experimentation and field investigation. So, experimentation, without experimentation you can't develop any science. Okay. So, and investigation, you know that necessity is the mother of invention. Okay. So, you have to investigate what is there, why it happens. I will give a small example. You heard Becquerel. So, just at the time of some investigation, he collected one substance. He just covered with a photographic plate. At the time he does not know. He kept into a drawer which is completely dark. After few days he opened it. He identified some rays are identified on the photographic plate. There is an investigation takes place. After that they identify they are alpha, beta, gamma rays, radioactive rays. So, means it is an investigation. Why that substance emits these radioactive rays? Then observe it. If it takes the N/P ratio, what is N here? Number of newtons. What is P here? Number of protons. If the N/P is equal to 1, it is a stable substance. If N/P is more than 1, it is unstable substance. There is a conversion, there is a transmission of neutron to proton, proton to neutron, which causes these radioactive elements. So, that kind of investigation is very important. He has to investigate, not in such a higher order, but he has to investigate the process. And when you come into this one, he able to do the experiments given in the textbook, develop their own. So, some experiments are given in the textbook, the children is able to perform the experiments. So, that is the reason one of the tool in the formative experiment is formative assessment is laboratory activity. So, the children is able to perform the same activity in the laboratory, has to maintain a laboratory record. For that we are awarding 5 marks in the formative assessments. Now, coming to the next one, is able to participate in field investigation and prepare reports. This is the most important. So, he is able to participate in field investigation, prepare report. That's so he has to visit the different kinds of fields and he has to prepare report. How the sugarcane forms, how the sugarcane forms. So, then sugarcane, from sugarcane how the sugar will form, just he has to visit a sugar factory. So, then he has to observe the various processes. The sugarcane was first with cleaned and then it is crushed, you will get the sugar juice, we will add carbon dioxide, fluorine and all the things, then it is okay, it is clean and the rest of the dust will be removed, then they will make the sugar. Of course, what are the byproducts set? Molasses is the byproduct. Okay. So, by using that yeast, it will be converted as alcohol. Am I correct or not? So, like he has to write the report when he visited a field, that may be a factory, that may be any agro company or anything whatever it may be, even biscuit factory, how the biscuit forms, what are the ingredients it's in that, like he has to visit the field and he has to investigate the things and he has to write the report. This is a very important. Okay. Through this the children is able to do it. Okay. So, already you learn about conceptual understanding, asking questions and framing a hypothesis, and the remaining third one is appreciation. So, now coming to the next one is information skills and projects. This is the most important, information skills and the project. So, what is information skills and what are the projects? You know that information is a base for development of science. That information he has to communicate, he has to collect, he has to interpret all the things which is considered as one of the academic standard. And the project is very important here. So, self participation and coordination with his peer group, coordination with other people, and what you call it as a cognitive domain, development of the cognitive domain, all are very important. So, if you want to test all these areas, so this tool, this indicator will useful as an academic standard. What are the indicators for this information skills and projects? I will say that. So, able to collect information by various methods. You can collect directly, it's a primary information or secondary information, correct? Primary information or secondary information. You can collect from others, you can collect from papers, you can collect from internet, you can collect from different magazines, you can collect from his friends, okay, and you can collect from research scholars, papers. So, like he may collect the information in a various methods. Okay, that is the first one. Now, coming to the second one, here what are the methods you are going to cut is by doing interviews. This is very important. Okay, by making an interview, so we can collect the information. So, for example, I will give that Madame Curie. Madame Curie is one of the greatest scientists who got 2 Nobel Prizes for 2 different disciplines. She got Nobel Prize from physics and she got Nobel Prize from chemistry. So, she is the only one woman in the world still who got 2 Nobel Prizes. She invented artificial radioactivity and she invented the polonium. So, her native country is Poland. On the name of Poland, that substance was named as a polonium. So, what is radioactivity? So, how if a substance becomes as a radioactive element, what are the uses of radiocobalt used in cancer, radiocarbon used in as to know the age of ancient things. So, like you can interview those people, of course, those are not possible, but you can take any greatest science. For example, the children can meet ISRO chairman and ask to, so you are achieving the greatest heights by projecting, of course, 104 satellites in the universe and recently 34 satellites in the universe in the galaxy. Then how you did it? What are the technologies you are used? So, how you maintain the integrity among all the scientists without failure. From last 2 years you are getting success. What is the success? What is the reason behind this success? So, like we can make interview, we can make it into as a report checklist. So, we have to check. So, you are going to ask some questions. So, take a questionnaire and by asking the questions, just check it. That is the most important. Clear? Okay. Now, coming to the next one is questionnaire. Questionnaire is you have to prepare the questionnaire. So, what question you have to ask first? What is the next consequence? Consequently, you are asking. That should be a process. These are the various methods. Questionnaire is one of the methods to collect the information. Checklist is one of the method for collecting the information, and interviews another one. Field investigation one more. Field visit one more. Correct? All comes under the collecting information. Now, coming to the next one, communication through drawing model making. This is the most important. So, here communication through drawing, that is a very important thing. For example, I want to explain a nuclear reactor. So, what are the parts of nuclear reactor? Well, so you have to label each and every one. These are the cadmium rods. What is the importance of this? Because cadmium rods makes a uncontrolled chain reaction into controlled chain reaction. In a nuclear reactor, if it makes into uncontrolled chain reaction, then it becomes as an atom bomb. If it is a controlled chain reaction, that energy will be converted into electrical energy. We can use it for various constructive purposes. So, maybe we can recall that one of the accident or incident happens in 1984 at Chernobyl at Russia. For replacing of these cadmium rods, there is a lapse, time lapse happen, then there is a controlled chain reaction is converted into uncontrolled, then there is a big blast. Nearly 50,000 years there is no possibility for living any human being of it. It's very important, correct? So, like this very important. So, drawing it, that is the reason in the examination we are asking to draw. And one more very important concept from the optics, for example. So, when an object is placed between foci and radius of curvature, then what is the nature of image and what is the size of the image? Okay, when you keep between center of lens and foci, what is the nature of image and what is the size of the image? Okay, when it is placed behind the center of curvature, what is its nature? If I say like, it is very difficult. When I draw the picture on the board, when I represent it diagrammatically, then you can understand easily. Okay, so the teacher has to perform the same thing in the classroom transaction. At the same time, if the children is also able to express is understand concept or learn concept in the form of diagrammatic or pictorial representation, then it comes under the communication through drawing. That is a very important. So, when the children is able to represent in a pictorial form, he understands the concept perfectly. Okay, without label, the diagram will be lifeless body. When the children or the teacher represents some concept in the diagrammatic form, immediately has to do label it. That is a very important. Labeling, proper labeling is very important. Clear? So, for example, now we are observing, so just you order from Amazon or other things, you will get one packet, of course, which has some equipment. All will not be assembled. There will be given away a chart. In the chart, how you are going to assemble it. Okay, a diagram will be given, and the diagram also with labeling. Each part will be what is the part and how it is connected. That labeling process also will be given. Through that chart, we can assemble those things. Am I correct or not? So, like assembling process will be there. Even in toys also, packing the toys in a small box, because packing those things in a big box is difficult. So, they will they will dispatch and they will deseparate all the things at the same time. They will give an idea to that how to. So, very important that is able to communicate their conceptual understanding by drawing the pictures, labeling the parts of the diagram and explain it. This is the most important. It comes under the communication through drawing, model and making. And here only model making is a one more important. So, now you want to say a camera. So, how the camera works? Instead of camera, we will make it as a pinhole camera. Okay. So, model of rocket or model of nuclear reactor, a model of dynamo, a model of what you call periodic table, a model of benzene. So, like the children is able to prepare a model based on a given concept in the textbooks. So, we will observe those things as an academic standard. It is most important. Now, coming to the next one is appreciation, aesthetic sense and values. So, appreciation is a very important. So, he has to appreciate the culture, science and development. Now, we are moving from from rock age to digital age, correct. So, so many things. We are without this technology, we can imagine of our life also very difficult. See, the cellular phone becomes as a part of our body. So, very difficult present people without cell phone, they can't spend the time. Like science and technology becomes as a part. So, you have to appreciate. Okay, in the Puranas and other things, they said, okay, when these gurus are of course what you call it as Muni Pungavas, so when they close the eyes, they dream that, okay, so what will happen there? It's their thought, but we are viewing what will happen in the America. Now we can see through the internet, correct or not? So we can upload our things, we can upload the things to through internet, to everyone can view it also. Okay, we are doing so many things here. So now we are getting a video call. Recently, nano medicine also developed by using when the baby is at the time of birth, they will collect the stem blood and they will keep it into for a while, for a couple of years. They can prepare the required organs also. Now test tube baby is one of the greatest invention from that. Televisions, internet, fiber optics, everything, whatever it may be. So telephones, cellular phones, Android support phones, iPhones, all these things is the product of innovations of science and technology. So we have to appreciate. This appreciation is the most important. Clear? And we have aesthetic sense. Yeah, you have aesthetic sense. That is, we have to appreciate. We have to call it as where the beauty is there. We have to appreciate beauty in the sense here. So we have to maintain the cleanliness, hygienicness. Okay, that's the most important. When you make our nature as it's natural, then only we can survive in the system. We are spoiling our total environment by using plastics more. Okay, and these different kinds of gases which are related directly, we are mixing with so there is air pollution, there is a water pollution, there is a cultural pollution also there. So we are living in a pollution environment. So that's the reason we are getting so many calamities. Okay, so to avoid all these things, so we will maintain the nature as a nature. That's a very important. So you have the aesthetic sense. Okay, want to create in a beautiful manner. Now come to the values. This is the most important. So we have science based on values. That's the most important. Values are required. And not only that, you have to give the social values. You have to learn the ethical values. Okay, that's a very as education should give all these things. That's the reason we give value education is one of the chapter or one of the concept in terms of co-curricular areas. We have to respect. We have to respect our parents. We have to respect our teachers. We have to respect our scientists. See, the Madame Curie was died. She doesn't know the nature of radioactive elements. She hold the radioactive elements by her hand. So all these radioactive rays are injected in her body. Finally, she died. But she gave the total knowledge of it. Even Einstein, okay, Newton, take any scientist. So they sacrificed their lives and they invented so many things. Thomas Alva Edison, you know that. He invented gramophone record, he invented bulb, he invented cinema projector. So see all these things, now you are enjoying the fruits of the science and technology. Or you know that Isaac Newton, so if you say Einstein was simply, so the teacher said he is not suitable for education. Everyone says that he is not, but he invented the most important, that is E equal to mc, which is the resemblance of a physics. The conservation of mass and energy, E equal to mc square, that was given by that. Okay, like so many scientists, even our C.V. Raman. So every day the question arises, why the sea water is in blue color, why the sky is in blue color, correct? When you walking on the beach, when you see the water has no color. Gradually it seems to be like grey color. When you see because so far distance, it seems to be blue color. How it gets color change, and how the sky is in blue color? What is the reason behind? It's a scattering of light. Okay, now we are seeing so fiber optics concepts. What is the concept behind fiber optics? It is total internal reflection. It's also given by the scientists. Every time the scientists are sacrifice their lives and works for the total world, finally now we are in a highly comfortable zone. So we have to respect the what you call it is hard work of our scientists, and we have to respect our culture. We have to give the value for our development, science and development. We have to appreciate the things, and you have to do that. You are also in position to innovate, discover the things. It should be useful for the society. That's the most important. So feel that the school is a library, laboratory also. In the school only, the children should learn equity and equality. This is very important. Empathy, equity, equality, empathy. Coordination is a very important. Cooperation is very important. Developing the cognitive domain is very, very important. Look, 3 C's or 3 E's, whatever it may be, say, we can all will be comes under the disciplinary way. A science student can predict all these things. So you should know the precautions when they are performing an experiment. Okay, you can predict, he is in position to predict what the results comes, and he can predict what are the side effects. For example, hydrogen chloride is given, any acid is given, concentrated acid, when you pour into water, it gives a fire. So he has to take the precautions of that, and should not touch with directly with the hand. So that's a precaution, means like he has to take each and every time. So all these academic standards are totally 6. Now come to the last one, is the 7th one, application to daily life, correct? So without, already I said, without science there is no physical, so there is no daily life situation. Without so physical concept, there is no daily life. In same manner, every daily life situation we have the physics. He is able to apply, learn concepts in daily life, recognize the importance of the biodiversity. That's very, very important. So every time, every minute, when I am able to hold this pen, means just see this, there is a frictional force between my hand and this one. That's the reason I can hold it. There is no frictional force, simply it's fall down. That is a science. Okay, even just I'm talking some calorific energy is utilized. So like every moment, everywhere we have science. So I think so you understand all these academic standards. These academic standards are very important, and it covers the total aspects of science. So anyway, so you may understand. So once again I am repeating that in the examination or examination question paper, so there are 2 weightages. One weightage is academic standards. Okay, the questions will be prepared, and no question will be comes from directly from the textbook. Definitely they have to create or generate based on these academic standards. If you are good at academic standards, you can prepare the question paper very effectively, then the evaluation process will be meaningful. So maybe this class gives us total clarity about the academic standards. I hope the CC will be successfully runs in your future. So thank you for listening.